So Gary John Bishop is the author of it, and it's a motivational. I wasn't like a motivational book type of person, like a self-reflective type of person,
Mm.
but his book, like I thought it, and I was like, what is this all about? And since I travel all the time, I listen to books. So being on a plane or being in my car, I would have books read to me because I don't have the time to sit there and flip through pages. At a hotel room, I eat and then I'm on my computer until I go to bed. Like I'm constantly busy. I don't have time to flip pages while I'm doing it. So I was like, I want people to read to me because I have the attention that do it. And if it grabs my attention, it gets me. And that was the thing I learned about Gary John Bishop, the mental conversations that you're having with yourself, the reflection that you're having, your internal voice. If you don't control that, that voice will ruin your behavior. That voice from going after something. That voice, oh, this is what I'm afraid of. Well, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. And so that's the mental state of it. And I'm glad that I grasped that, because the mental state of it always was the one that brought me off that, because I'd hit that my goal, and then my mental side was like, oh, reward yourself, get yourself a candy bar, do this, thinking as a child, like, oh, I did something really good, let me give myself what I want. And it was what I want, not what my body needed. And so I allowed myself to do that. And once you start listening and hearing how you talk to yourself, you can develop that change and make it a lot easier. And I read that book. I had that, I listened to that book early on in the year. And then during quarantine, I read the Stop Doing That Shit, which is also by Gary John Bishop. Just the behaviors, change the way, and that's, if you've done everything, like, what is the definition of insanity? You're doing the same thing all the time, expecting different results,
Right.
and it's like, stop doing that. If you know your downfalls, and that's why I go back and say, I don't believe in cheat days or treat meals and all this stuff, because if you've done what you're doing, why jump off of it?
Yeah.
Why do that shit? Because you know what's going to happen every single time. It's going to take you off, and you're going to have to do more work and more frustration work that then will get you more negative thoughts, like, oh, I should have done, oh, I feel awful about myself. Oh, instead of doing that, just stay on track.
It's really
But you
interesting.
have to develop the mental side of it. You have to be able.
I know for myself, like if I get frustrated, I think that's probably the emotion that throws me off track the most, because otherwise, like, I mean, you've talked to me a few times, like I'm usually pretty positive. Even when things go wrong, I feel like, that's kind of the nature of the beast, and you roll with
Yeah.
it. And that's kind of where your strength lies. But then there's like a part of me that all breaks down. Like I have that on track for the most part, but then if you have, it's like if I do a cheat day like you're saying and slam on the brakes and on the train stopped, then when I have the hard work in front of me, that's where the frustration starts, and that's when the whole thing starts to unravel. So like
Yeah.
it's really important to like be aware of that a
Yep.
couple steps before that happens. That way you don't let that happen. So I mean, what you're saying makes so much sense
Yeah.
to me. I've never really heard anybody articulate it the way you articulate it. So it's really fascinating, because most people, they go
I
with
might
it.
write a book. Maybe that's what I need to do.
You need to make an audible.
And I was that person that always, I was that person that would always have that excuse. I was always that person that would be like, oh, I need to do this. I need it. I need to treat myself. I was always that person. And I have nothing against anybody that does it. It's just that I want to and say stop. Because it's like, I know how I feel, and I know what my triggers were. And if I can see that in somebody else, and that's why I don't like, when I interact with people, I always provide them support, and say, they're like, oh, I ate this and ate that. I was like, get back on track and just don't think like that anymore. Just
Right.
do that. Unless if they come to me and asking for it, I'll give them. If I'm not going to be that person that's in the comments like, you shouldn't do this,
Right.
I'm a Karen or I'm a Ken. I'm not doing that. I can't. I'm not that person. It's positive vibes. I want these people to feel positive about themselves, so that they then in turn, if that negative voice is not there, I at least want them to see see a positive voice and a positive growth that they
Timing.
can reach out to and be like, oh, well, I need to start thinking like that. And it's kind of like, it's kind of like, what, like, there's always that person that's like, hey, when you're a kid and something's going bad, always look for the helper, right? Like, always look for the helper. I was like, there's look for the good in life. Like, why look? I mean, your house can be on fire, but look what's happening. You have people that are rescuing you, people who are rescuing your family. Be the helper, be the person that like push yourself. Don't let somebody else do it. You have to be the one that does it. Like, you can find the help that's out there, but you have to be the one that does it. And like, I get emotional about it just thinking about it. But like, that's the situation.
Oh, it's really awesome.
But
As far as like your story, I don't remember like exactly what the background was, but I know you had ulcers, when you were 22, and then again when you were like
yeah,
30. What have been some of the other health issues that you
28. Yeah.
had?
So
It's young. I mean, that's why it's like,
during, yeah, I'm young. And I always ignored it. High blood pressure was one of those things. I always had like slightly high blood pressure at all of my checkups. You have high blood pressure. What are you going to do about it? And I was like, I'll go see a doctor. I never went to go see a doctor. I just ignored it. And that was my downfall for in August of 2019, just a month and a half into my keto journey. I'd lost 30 pounds so far. I got hit with a kidney stone, experienced that type of pain in my life.
yes.
And people are like, "Oh, kidney stone." People that have had it know how severe it is. 10 out of 10, I would not recommend. Like, no, it's one of those that's no, cannot do it. And so, I was with my son in karate class, and I was watching it in the lobby because it knows in all the classes, so parents can sit there and watch it. And I got crippled over in pain. Like, at one point, it felt like I got stabbed on the left side of my back, and it wrapped around. So I knew it was like my appendix or anything like that, and I got sick. And so I got up because I looked like I was coming off a high, or I needed a fix or something like that. I didn't want people to think, hey, this guy's a drug addict. What's wrong with him? Why is he white as a ghost, and why does he look like he's sick? So I got up and went outside to try to get fresh air and breathe out there. And I was trying to make sure that I didn't throw up. And so I went back inside, got my kid, and the lady looked at me like I was crazy. Class wasn't over, and I was like, I need him. I don't feel good. I need him. Get him out here, please. And drove home. The drive home, I don't remember much because I was like crippled over like an old lady driving. I was like, oh, but I got back home. And right when I got back home, I had to run to the bathroom. And I say run.
It's amazing you were able to drive while feeling that. That's so much pain.
Yeah, but the good thing is like the karate place is only like 4 blocks from my house. So it was really close. So it wasn't like hard to navigate back home. But I mean, I was like, oh, got home, and the pain continued to get worse, and so I had to run to the bathroom because I just felt sick, and I threw up like crazy in there. Came back in. I didn't want to eat anything. My family was eating dinner at the time, and I was laying on the bed. I couldn't get comfortable for like an hour. I had an ice pack in different places. I was like writhing in pain. I looked like I looked insane. Like, I did. Like, if I look back, I looked insane. And so I told my wife I wanted to go to the hospital, and at first I told her to call 911 because I couldn't get up. And she's like, I'm not paying $20,000 for you to ride into an ambulance. You're going to get your ass up, and we're going to go to the ER. So convincing me to get up, I put short at that time. I had taken my shorts off, so I was just in my skivvies and my shirt. And I got my shorts back on, put on some flops, some sand. She dropped me off the ER so they could park, and I walked inside like I was Frankenstein. And I mean, I remember the waiting room, just like this old lady staring at me. And I honestly thought people thought I was a bitch and I looked like a horrible person. I was white, and right when they got me in like in less than 5 minutes. I was back, and they got me into the exam, like the little exam station, and the nurse was asking my symptoms, and I like the nurses themselves. Oh my god, like. And these men know more just as much as doctors. They're not paid the same. They should be paid the same.
Yeah.
You have a kidney stone before they even examine me. Like, just knowing what I'm saying, where the pain is, how I feel, what like my symptoms. Kidney stone. We're gonna get you in. But my blood pressure. She took my blood pressure. I was 221/80. Yeah, she was educated. And so, I mean, these women are like these. I say women. Most of them are women at the hospital. We're at. These women and men. These professionals that are doing this, like I couldn't believe it, man. So I remember pretty quickly because my blood pressure at that time was 220/180. So it was stroke level high. It was very scary. And she goes, we're gonna confirm the kidney stone, but I'm worried about your blood pressure. I know your blood pressure is going to be high because of the pain you're in, but it shouldn't be high. So it kind of registered there. Like I was like, but like the pain was still taking it. So it went through, got an MRI, a scan of the stomach, confirmed kidney stone. And so they knew that, you know, we're the little, I call them Junior. I still have them. And it's off of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Junior. So it's my kidney stone. I didn't want to give them to my doctor. It's mine. I passed them. It's why would I give up my stone? So like I love them. So I celebrate his birth all the time. But and it's kind of like a funny thing. It's a funny like health thing. Like without Junior, I wouldn't have been on track. Like I think Junior helped me because they managed my pain, and after they managed my pain, I was still 180/100 or 180/90. I was still stupid high on blood pressure, and so they got me on a blood pressure medicine, tolerated. And about 6 hours later, as I was released off of that, and the doctor, I'll never forget his name. His name was Dr. Jimmy Stickles. And I'd laughed the whole time because it was Dr. Stickles. And I was like, what name? Like Stickles? Like, why? You know? And I was like, you know, so it was a funny name to me. His name always will register. But he was like, do you have a GP? And I said, no, I don't have a doctor. I don't, you know. He was like, you need to find one because you need a plan for your pressure. And he was like, in some of your size, you probably have other health problems. And lo and behold, he was right. I went to a doctor recommended by my brother. Did my initial like, you know, client situation, and he and I talked, and I found out I was pre-diabetic. And hearing that at 34 years old was like, yeah. I mean, it like, holy shit! Like, I don't want to live a lot. I have to be insulin, you know, I had to be insulin reliant on it, and insulin dependent. I don't want to live that long. And high blood pressure. And I had high cholesterol, triglycerides were through the roof. It just none of my levels were good. None of them. Wow. And he asked what my plan was, and I told him, hey, back in July, I started doing keto. Do you recommend that? And one of the things, and that's why I love my doctor, he goes, here's the situation. I can tell you what nutritionists will tell you. I'll tell you what some other doctors tell you. If it's working for you, keep doing it. Like, I've seen other people that I follow and that I interact with on Instagram always say, or they say their doctor says it's healthy. And he said, there's no study that's out there. And he goes, if it works for you, your body's doing it, and the levels change, you've done it right. So don't worry, continue to do it. So it kind of motivated me. And so Junior gave me the opportunity, my kidney stone gave me the opportunity to know my medical side of it. And I'd never taken myself seriously on the medicine side. You know, medically, I always like ignored it. And without that kidney stone, I wouldn't have got the help that I needed, especially for high blood pressure and also for being pre-diabetic. And that's a tough pill to swallow when you're on a health journey. And normally that kind of situation would throw me off. And that was back in August. And in about 5 months, you know, they put me on diabetes medicine. It was like metformin or whatever it was. They put me on diabetes medicine, and for 45 to 50 days, it was actually like 60 days, 90, it was 120 days that I was in. So for about 4 months, I took metformin, and we revisited after months. And after that, and it was like late November, it was after Thanksgiving. So I had a sliver of cranberry sauce. Like I had some cranberry sauce. I kept my carb counts, and I kept myself in balance. But I love cranberry sauce, and in its natural form in the can, it's my favorite. So the gelatin form of cranberry sauce is my favorite thing for Thanksgiving. So I had a sliver, and then I also had a tiny bite of pumpkin pie. And with my fearful, I was like, oh shit, my levels are gonna be all thrown off. And we did my A1C levels and all that stuff. I had to come in, do my blood levels, and then the next day I had my appointment. And man, it woke me up. He goes, your levels are completely normal, man. You're no longer pre-diabetic. And here it goes again. And it was like, I'm doing it. And that was like, man.
It's unbelievable.
It was real, man. It was like, man, I was like, I'm fucking doing it. And
So cool that he was supportive of the diet also. Like,
oh my, keep doing it. Like he goes, keep doing it. And then in February, I had my work, my wellness for work, and I was at my low. I'd been in February. It was like 230s, 240s at that time. And I was like so like motivated. Again, got my blood checked, and he was like, even better. He's like, you're completely normal. My triglycerides were perfect. My cholesterol was perfect. And I was like, I did. Like I'm doing it. This is actually successful. And those words, um, they're like, you're gonna fail again. You always fail. And I was like, fuck you. I didn't fail. I did. Like I'm better off. And like I joke now because the person that said that to me is more, and I'm like, hey, I'm actually the skinny one now. I'm actually the health one. Like eat shit kind of things. But no, like the it was one of those that and I say that jokingly. I'm not saying it truthfully. I'm saying that as like, hey, this is, look at me. Uh and so I think about it and I'm like, it it was one of those moments that, and I get emotional about it because I'm proud of myself. Like it's one of those that I have to, sorry, I'm getting like alerts that I have to like pause and recognize because it's worth just like, man, like I did it. Like I haven't finished the race. The race is still going, but I'm doing the right thing. And I've gotten my body to the levels that I need it to be, and I want to keep them there. And it's always been one of that. And I've been lucky that I've had a medical professional with my doctor, my own personal doctor, that supports it and is like blown away because I came in May when I hurt my knee, and it'd been 3 months since he saw me, and he's like, "You've lost even more weight, and you got even more healthy than you'd look back in February."
he's going to ask for your help as far as,
What's that?
he's going to ask for your help giving diets to people because, I mean, the thing that really jumps out at me about this story, and I think so many people,
And he has a nutritionist on staff, so
his like,
so he has a nutritionist on staff that hates keto,
um, but the thing is, I think a lot of people are probably,
and he, every doctor is. What'd you say? You cut out on me.
sorry, I think a lot of people are probably in a similar position. Like it's so easy to relate
Yeah,
to. So it's because of your weight and your choices of, high sugar, high carb stuff that you are pre-diabetic, or, even worse, you are diabetic. So I mean, it's such
exactly. And
a story.
and the best thing about it, and I say the best thing about that is that if you're pre-diabetic, you know what that means? You're not diabetic. You can change it.
Yeah,
Like you have the ability now to change it. So change.
I agree with that very much.
Now there are people that have had type 2 diabetes that have changed it. There are people that are just type 1 diabetes that they can't change it. They're insulin dependent. They have to live with it.
No, no doubt. That's, I mean, if
But you have the opportunity to change it. And people take it. I've had a buddy that says he can't do keto. He's been he got determined as pre-diabetic, and he's like, he's like, I just like he gave up, and I was like, bro, like you're not diabetic. You're pre-diabetic. You have levels that if you continue to let those levels go higher and higher, you're gonna get diabetes, and you're gonna have that way. Or you can take the opportunity to change it,
make the lifestyle.
and that's the process that I see. People like, they're like, oh, I found out I was pre-diabetic. And I was like, don't let that be a death sentence. Use
Yeah.
that as a life support. That's like, well, shit, I want to change that. Like when I heard it, it punched me in my gut because I was like, oh, because then the choice of my past hit me right in the damn face and I got knocked down. I didn't get knocked out. I kept going. I got back up off the ring. I got up. And that's the thing is, too many people let it be a knockout and not a knockout punch.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what you're good at.
What's that?
That's what you're good at. That's like your superpower is that you take something that is, punching you in the face and you take it as motivation. And I mean, that's what I think is so awesome about your story, because
I
other
used to not though. I used to not.
well, now, I mean,
Back
now the proof
back then, I would go, oh, I'm overweight and that I have this problem. I was like, well, I need to go to McDonald's and get me a 20-piece McNugget. Like, I need to feel better about myself. So I know the process of how
dark
people
side.
feel.
Both sides.
But you have to you got to change the way you think about it. You got to know that you can't allow it to be a death sentence. You're going to die anyway.
No, sure,
Spend
but
some years on your life and
control.
live better, so
Yeah. It's so interesting. It's
I look at it as I look at it and I hear people complain all the time, and I'm like, man, why are you complaining? Now, I'm not saying that I don't complain. I complain about stuff. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. I've lived through pain my whole life. This year they're pretty good, but like,
this year's good.
when it comes to health and it comes to your life, like, it's going to take time. It took you 15, it took 5, 10, 15 years for you to live your life to get to the point that you're at. It's going to take some time to get it back. Like, it's not going to be, and that's the whole thing, is you have to sustain your journey. Not an overnight situation. It's not a month situation. It's not a year situation. It's a life situation. You have to be able to sustain it. If you choose this style and this lifestyle works for you, you have to sustain it and you have to keep it going. It's just part of that situation. And don't let yourself think that you're being left out. Find the alternatives and live your life the way you'd normally live it. Live it as if they're the people that are eating the carbs and eating the sugars, even if they're eating healthy, as if they're missing out, because you're not missing out on anything. You're actually extending your life by doing what you're doing. So
It's good. It's really good stuff. So I have one question. I mean, you mentioned before drinking beer with your meal. Do you still drink, and how do you hold it in?
yeah. So I know alcohol can throw you out of ketosis. I know that. So anybody that's going to comment on this video or like comment on a post that you post, I know it does. Enjoy yourself though. If you can fit it into your macros, I'm not saying go wild on it. I don't sit there and get drunk. Like, I'm not there to drink, because my drink of choice is whiskey. Like, you give me a Crown and Coke Zero, I'm in heaven. Like, I mean,
I like Crown.
back in the day, I would have like a Crown and Coke, and it's my favorite. It's so smooth. Or just Crown straight, low carb seltzers and stuff like that. Having one or two in a day, the other week, it's
That's
not going to kill you. I love Coke Zero. Like I have to have one a day, but I have like the small cans or the small bottles. I'm not having like a 20-ounce or multiple Cokes a day.
right.
I have one while I'm in the pickup line to pick up my kids at school. But like, you have that choice, and then like people are like, oh, I can't have like this and that because this is what I used to make. I mean, during the summertime, I was working on how to do a keto margarita. But the thing is that the way I drink is not the way I used to drink. I used to drink to get a buzz. I used to drink to drown things. Drink the alcohol is just as much as I use food to balance my life and to have that emotional support that I thought I needed. Some sort of like kind of numbing agent. Food and alcohol were numbing agents. Every so often I have a drink, and I have since July I have a 12-pack of seltzers in my fridge, and I have 9. So I mean, I'm not doing it all the time. It's usually when my mother-in-law comes into town, and then I'm like, okay, I got to pop one open to get through this day. So in-laws do that. I guess you can say not just my mother-in-law, but family, and family as a whole. It takes that. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have a seltzer just to get me through this day. And it's more a joke because I really don't need it. It's just, with having hamburgers and hot dogs,
It's
I
nice.
always enjoyed a beer with it. Now I'm just like, I have a 90-calorie seltzer with no carbs. Like, okay,
Which
I'm
brand?
not having 12 of them. I'm not getting hammered. Like,
No, you're not getting hammered, obviously.
Corona. So fucking the Corona. So yeah, but that's the one thing is, so that do that, they're like, I'm gonna go out and get drunk and I'm gonna keep them, I'm not gonna eat much today, and I'm like, no, you're just killing yourself. Like, it might fit your macros, but it's not gonna keep you in ketosis. You're gonna throw yourself out. So I know a little bit of alcohol, much it will throw you out. I've never got to the point where I've drinking so much that when I checked my levels that I was gonna be out of it, and I don't check my levels anymore. I can feel my body when I'm in ketosis. I have a lot more energy and a lot more focused when I'm not in ketosis. I'm not dragging or anything like that, but I can tell a difference in my body of how it's burning. The water weight holds a little bit more than it normally does. But it's, you recognize what's going on in your body. And if you put too much alcohol or too much bad junk in it, your body's still going to feel like crap. And so I avoid that at all
That's
costs.
actually one of the things I want to ask you is how often are you, either weighing yourself or like, what are your metrics? What are you checking? In the beginning, people are like, they're weighing themselves constantly. They're checking maybe body fat, shirt size. Like, what's your metric?
So, so when I first started in keto, I would weigh in every other day to see what I was doing, like measurements and stuff like that. And I once or twice a week, not a week, once or twice every couple of weeks, just to see where I'm at. If I see water or anything like that, I'll just check on to see what my, if I, I'm a little bit more bloated than I normally am. Um, I'll check my weight and just see where I'm at. And normally I'm in my maintaining levels. I'm anywhere between 260, some days 215 and 219. That's where I hover. Um, for the last few weeks, I've done that. And like 4 weeks ago, I weighed in at 219. And then 2 weeks later, I weighed in at 216. And then yesterday I weighed in and I was at 216 again. And so I'm just in maintain mode. I've had people who are losing so much weight, or you're just gonna turn into a skeleton. And I'm like, I'm 216 pounds. I'm 6'3". I'm very broad shouldered. I have a big head. My beard looks great. Like I don't look like I'm sickly. Like I'm telling you this, I'm not in any way. I don't have an eating disorder anymore. I'm not looking to lose any more weight. I'm just in maintain mode. So I'm gonna continue to eat the way that I eat and live the life that I'm living because it's working. And so once you get to that main mode, you think that it took me a while to get that because they're like, well, how much do you want to lose? And I'm like, I'm gonna lose until I start hitting like where my body is just maintaining. And I hit 217 and 215, and since then, like that was a month and a half, 2 months ago. Since then, it's just been maintaining, and the scale doesn't bother me. Like jumping on the scale and seeing 218 one day or 219, it doesn't bother me. Use and Steven is a huge fan of it, and and I've come to greatly appreciate his non-scale victories in SV,
I love that expression.
and it's the way my clothes fit. It's the way I see myself in the mirror. It's the way my glasses fit because my glasses originally,
Yeah, I know.
when I first had them, I had a bigger head. I had it, and so my glasses fit differently. I go back and I know that I haven't mentioned this before, but you having facial hair, Steven having facial hair, my beard. My beard is now a lot more fuller than it used to be because my face isn't so stretched out. And so I see these photos before and I see these photos now and I'm like, well, crap. Like I actually, like I look like, back then I was like, oh, like it looked like a scraggly piece of junk. Now it's like faded down and I'm like, not scraggly piece of junk. It just wasn't, I had a lot more skin because my face was more puffed. And so, and I didn't have a neck back then. Now I have a neck. I used to joke that I had to, use Head and Shoulders because I know necks to use Head and Shoulders. That's a dad joke. But like just my facial hair, the way my facial hair looks like, the closet that I have. A month ago, I did a closet clean out and I got rid of 70% of my clothes because I couldn't wear most of them. These are clothes that I wore, dress clothes. These are suits. I had 8 suits that I no longer wear. They're too big to tailor. And so I'm looking suit wise, I'm trying to figure out where I can sell and donate those depending on, where they're at. Cause they're nice suits. But just the way my clothes fit, the way I look, the sizes of my clothes, I used to be 2X in a lot of things. I had a few X's in shirts. I went from where I couldn't shop in the regular section in the men's department to that's where I only shop now. I would go to the big and tall section because that's what they had. There was less choices. I looked like Dwight from the Office sometimes with the shirt selections. I found some good clothes. I still, I still look decent when I was larger, but now like I have a lot more selections and I see those as non-scale victories. I see those the way the clothes fit and they're not, I don't look like a stuffed sausage. I'm not doing that. And, I went from wearing a size 46 pants to now I'm wearing a large size jogger. So it's from 435, 33 to 36 in waist sizes, depending on where the clothes are made. So I look at those as my way of my non-victories because I don't care about what that scale says anymore. And that's the one thing is that throughout this process, I didn't let the scale show bother me because there will be your body just adjust. And, there would be days I'd step on the scale before I got to the point and I was at 269. And then the next day I stepped on the scale and it was 272. That kind of like, oh, like, how did I gain 3 pounds? I didn't do anything differently. Your body's just weird. Like that's what bodies do. So I say, take photos, pay attention to the way clothes fit and, find those non-scale victories, what your beard hair looks like. I mean, as a guy, if you have a great facial hair like Steven and I do, and what you're growing, your beard looks completely different with a skinnier face than with a fat face. Like it really does. So use those as the non-scale victories.
I love it. It's such a good idea. I mean, I think you're really only a year in and you're able to like have that total stabilization where you don't have to weigh yourself all the time and stuff. Like if people get that way earlier on, I think they'd be much more successful, because I think some of these small, weigh-ins and stuff, I think it throws people off, because they get it makes them negative where they really shouldn't be.
Yep.
What's your advice?
It's that voice in their head again. Their voice in their head's like, hey,
What kind of advice do you have for somebody who's
what's
starting
my
out,
advice to what?
for somebody who's just beginning to start out?
Um, plan ahead. And so plan ahead, especially figure out the foods that you enjoy, that you like to have. I was a chips and dips person. I stayed away from anything that was like, I went to almonds back when I first started and I love almonds. But when I first started, I had to have that crunchy nature because I love chips. So I had almonds as my vice.
Chips was
And then they just wore out. They're just like, and I appreciate almonds, but
chips.
what's that?
Chips was for you like watching football and eating.
What were you saying? You could.
Was What was your chips habit?
Yeah, man. I mean, I would eat a freaking vat of French onion dip. It was wavy lays and French onion dip, bro. So it and I'd eat the whole vat, like the whole vat of French onion dip, and like 3/4 of the bags of like the large family size. So I was not healthy by any means while I watched football. Now it's like pork rinds. Occasionally I'll have like pork rinds and a few tablespoons of salsa or queso or guacamole, to get my fat content in there. And I love chicharrones, man. Like
Mhm.
they're like the best things in the world. Like there's nothing better than a little pork crackling, man. And then it's just finding out what you want. And that was one of the things that you and I discussed before, is find the alternatives or create the alternative. Um,
That's a smart one.
find that keto ice cream. Pay attention to the ingredients. If it has high sugar alcohols, you're going to have issues with your stomach usually.
Yep.
You're going to have to poop. You're going to have to go shit yourself after a couple hours. If it's their sugar-free gummy bears, avoid those at all costs, because I mean, after 45 minutes of eating those, they're going to come lava exploding. It's going to be like lava exploding on a mountain to the bathroom real quick. So avoid that stuff, but find your alternatives. Let yourself think that you can't have something. Don't let yourself think that, oh, since I'm doing this, this is where I'm not at. You have to change that thought process, because if you go into the I can't, I shouldn't process, then your voice in your head is going to be like, hey, you want that donut? And you're like, no, you don't need that donut. Like, you don't need that fact. Like, every Saturday before their soccer game, do I get a donut? No. Do I feel like I'm left out? No. Like I just, it doesn't look appetizing to me anymore. To me, as a kid, I'd love a donut in the morning, but as somebody that's gone through their journey and this lifestyle, stop thinking you can't have it. Just, you don't need it. Like, it's just the change of words. Like, I can do without, instead of I can't have it, say I can do without. Change this to term. It's just one little letter will tell you that goes from I can't to I can.
Yeah,
So
no doubt.
it's just that type of structure. Just start going through. If you're not mentally preparing yourself and you're not preparing for the food that's there, you're not going to be successful. So make sure that you stick to the plan and go with it. Find the alternatives and go with it. And that's what I tell everybody that wants to do this diet. You have to plan ahead. If you don't plan ahead, you're gonna cripple and fall, and it's not gonna work. And you're gonna think keto doesn't work. And the issue is that keto does work. It just didn't work if you didn't plan. Like, you have to do it. So the word diet to me is like when somebody's, you're on the keto diet, and I was like, no, I'm on keto. Like, I'm not on a diet. I'm in a lifestyle now.
Yeah.
So you just have to have that. To me, a diet states that you're trying to lose weight, and it really, you are losing weight, but you're all you're really doing is affecting your lifestyle and your health. You're trying to get healthy. And so I there are diets out there. There are different companies that have the diet plans, that have the pills and supplements. Try to let your body do the work. If you can't do it, if you think you can't do it without a supplement, you're not allowing your body to do what it's meant to do. And that's reset itself and go. And that's what it worked for me. I didn't have a metabolism. I couldn't lose weight without supplements. And then I started doing keto, and it just came off. Like, it just came off because I did the work and I did the planning, and I had the support of my family here at my house. And it worked. It's worked 115% with me. I've lost 117 pounds. So I'm very much a keto works kind of situation.
No doubt, no doubt. It's awesome. This is really inspirational. It's a really fantastic chat. I really appreciate the time. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, Ralph, I appreciate it, man. So if you ever want to jump on with, Stephen or a cooking challenge, you just let us know, man.
I do think
So
that's a really cool idea. I would like to do that. It's awesome. I think both of you guys are so funny and you have such an interest.
I mean, we're not judged or anything. So
Maybe that's what we could set up. Like have you
we like to rip off each other. We really do.
ask like Beatrice or somebody if she wants to judge it. That'd be fun. She's another awesome, positive personality. Yeah, I'll let you go. I really appreciate it. I've taken like 3 hours of your time in the last 2 days.
I'll send you the bill.
Good,
Talk to you later, man.
good. All right.
Bye.
Very much, Brian. Thanks.
I'll do that. I appreciate it, Ralph.
I appreciate it too. Thanks so much.
Talk to you later, man.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
If you have any questions you want me to ask people, put it in the comments, or also send me an email. It's Cel-Lab Slim, cell.lab.slim@gmail.com. You can find us lots of places on Facebook, on Instagram, etc. So please, by all means, get in contact. I really love chatting with everybody, as you can see. And yeah, let us know what you think and let us know what you want to hear. I mean, so far we've done like a couple diet things, some keto, mostly keto really, but I'm open to, doing different topics, maybe more workout training kind of stuff. I'm not sure. So, let me know what you think is useful and I'm happy to try to get that done. I'm happy to reach out to people. I've reached out to a couple of trainers, so hopefully we'll get somebody like that on soon, because I think that would be a little bit of a different perspective. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much to learn. It's so inspirational. And yeah, thanks for, all the support and love. It's awesome. It's an amazing community. All right. This is Ralph for Cel-Lab signing out.